Hey guys, and welcome to session 3 of our writers workshop. And so today what we want to talk about is getting through writer's block. Now, hopefully you guys have spent a little bit of time, and I know that everybody's got things going on in their life, and I actually just took on the responsibility of writing another book on top of the one that I'm already in the process of writing, for a very special cause. There's a person who's very close to us, a very special person in our lives, whose son is incarcerated, for a crime he didn't commit. And so I'm writing that book about the complete sham that they did for the investigation, and how they mistreated him when they arrested him and put him in prison. And I made that decision that I was going to take on that project, and I'm really under the gun because we're working at a fevered pitch to get this done by the beginning of next year. And the publisher would like to have a finished manuscript in their hands by the end of the year, beginning of first quarter of 2015. So it's difficult, and I understand that there are times that life gets in the way. I understand that there are times when we just get a little off track, and writer's block is one of the banes of the existence of every author. And so whether it's just a lack of ideas, or a lack of enthusiasm, or maybe you're just stressed because there are things going on in your life that are distracting you, today I want to share with you just a few of the tips that work for me, and that have been shared with me to help you get over writer's block. So when you're stuck and you can't quite make that jump from your brain to your hand, then try some of these tricks and see if they don't help you to get past the writer's block. The most important thing you can do, though, is to stay relaxed. Don't let yourself get so frustrated that you can't write, and you become paralyzed from writing. There are just some days when the writing is not going to come as naturally. And so you've got to be gentle with yourself. You've got to realize that this is a creative process, and creativity cannot be forced. So try some of these techniques. And if they don't work, then that's okay. You can use that time to go back and maybe look at something that you wrote previously and clean up some of your writing. Maybe you can use that time just to sort of get yourself inspired and motivated, and spend a lot of times when I've got writer's block, I'll start doing an exercise to boost my creativity, and then the writer's block is gone. So here's the thing. First thing that I would recommend is that just write anything to get words flowing. So you just start writing anything. You can write something weird, something crazy, something stupid. Write out a joke. Write your favorite joke down. Write the words to your favorite song. And as long as you start writing or typing, however you prefer to do your manuscript, once you start doing that, then that creative flow opens up. It's one of the simplest ways that when I feel like I've got a writer's block, I start writing something else that's creative. I'll write new words to an old song or something, like kind of funny or sarcastic lyrics, and that just opens up the doorway to creativity that might be blocked by stress or anxiety. Another thing you could do is force yourself to hold on to the parts that you're excited to write, and stop mid-sentence if you have to, because you'll be ready to come back and do more. So when you start writing, always leave your writing at a point where, like, maybe you're telling a fantastic story, and you're almost at the end of the block of time that you allowed for yourself. Let's say you gave yourself an hour. You're at the 50-minute mark, and you're telling a story. Well, if you're at a point where this is one of your favorite stories to tell, or one of your favorite parts of the story, just go ahead and stop in the middle of telling that story, because you already know how that story ends. So when you come back the next day and you sit down to write, you pick up where you left off. all of a sudden there's no block there. Now you know where that story left off, so you start writing, and again that opens the flow. So that might be a very a simple trick for folks who just have a little bit of a tough time getting started with the process of writing. Now, another thing that you can do is it's one of those creative techniques that they teach in school, and that's to sit down and, separate from your manuscript, just write how it feels to not be able to write. And again, that opens up the creative process. Or write how it feels to be stuck without any creative ideas. You know, if you find something that you can force yourself to write about, like how does it feel to have writer's block? Then that'll open the door. Now, if you're telling a story, you're telling someone's story. A lot of times, I've included the sections, the times in my life that I sat down today to continue sharing so and so's story, and I found myself faced with writer's block, and I start writing about having writer's block. Now, when the time came for me to finish that manuscript, we took that section out. But by sitting there and starting to just talk about how it felt to have writer's block, all of a sudden, before I knew it, I was writing again. And I got back to that process of writing about the writer's block, brought me back into the story. So it's a good way, again, to sort of trick your mind into relaxing. Excuse me. There are other things that you could do, and that's, as we said in the first video, make sure that you have a writing schedule. In fact, we said it on the first and second video. If you maintain a schedule and you have a set time to write and a set place to write, your brain will become sort of trained the same way that going to the gym every day trains your muscles and trains, and you get stronger. Your brain becomes stronger. And the first maybe 5 or 6 or 10 times you sit down to write, it might feel like work. But after a while, that becomes, for the creative person, that becomes a respite, to say, hey, this is my time. I get to go into my space and just start working on the book. And so the other thing I would say is make sure that you're writing about something that you're passionate about. Make sure you're writing about something that brings you joy. To be writing, that you're thrilled or excited or happy to be able to share. Now, as I just said, I'm writing a book about somebody who was unfairly imprisoned. So it doesn't bring me joy that he's unfairly imprisoned, but it brings me joy and satisfaction to know that we're going to get his story told. And so I look forward to that time every single day when I sit down and can write another few pages of that book, because I know that brings us one step closer to getting his story out there. So find something like that and stay on schedule. Don't let yourself, if there's a day that something comes up and you absolutely can't keep that schedule, don't beat yourself up over it, and don't let it become a cycle. Where you say, oh, I didn't write yesterday and it's going to be so hard to write today, so I'm not going to write today. And before you know it, a week has gone by and you haven't done any writing. That's not going to get you anywhere. So stick to that schedule. If you have to miss a day, you miss a day. It's not, this isn't grade school, and you're not going to get punished for life getting in the way. So, but do make it a priority. And then the other way to get your creative juices flowing, and my final suggestion, I think, for today, is to make sure that if you can't get your hands, your brain to your hand working, see if you can get your brain to your mouth working. Keep a tape recorder close by, and start dictating the next part of your book. Start speaking aloud, and think, like we said in a previous section, talk about how or speak the way that you would speak to a friend, or the way that you would speak to your intended audience, and share that story. Just start talking. Don't worry about whether your grammar is correct. Don't worry about whether your sentence flow is correct, because initially you just need to get those ideas out there. And you can always go back to that recording At the end of your allotted period of time, tomorrow you can sit down and transcribe that. And it might feel like you lost a day of writing, but you really didn't, because you opened up those creative juices. And I promise you, when you do that tomorrow, you may have so many more ideas that are coming. And what happens to me in a situation like that is I'll just make notes and say, while I was transcribing this, I thought about this, and so tomorrow I'm going to write about this. Now you get to my last tip, and my last tip is one that I rely on almost all the time. I don't have to have writer's block to do this. And that is, while I'm writing, as other ideas come to me for further sections of the book, or for later chapters, or maybe another book entirely, always keep a notepad next to you where you can jot those ideas down when they come to you. Because if you're anything like me, and you're nearly as busy as my life is, then if you try and trust yourself to wait until you're done to remember what you thought in that process, you'll never remember everything. So why risk losing what might be one of your greatest ideas? Just take that time and jot it down on the side, so that you say, hey, oh yeah, I remember I was talking about doing this other chapter about such and such, or I was, got this great idea for another book, or another section, or whatever it happens to be. And that also works for things that have nothing to do with your book. If an idea comes to your mind while you're in the middle of the creative process, then it always helps to go ahead and jot that idea down. Even if it's, a thought that comes across your mind that, hey, I need to go pick up milk, jot down that you need to go pick up milk, because otherwise your brain is going to interrupt you in that creative process every 10 or 15 minutes with things like, I hope I don't forget the milk. Oh, I've got to hurry up and get this done, or I'm going to forget to get the milk, or we're not going to have milk and it's almost going to be dinner time. Go ahead and just jot it down, get it out, and get it out of the way. So the most important thing you can do this week is to get out there and start writing. And I would love, as sort of an assignment, although I'm really not trying to treat you guys like this is school, but an assignment for you to hold yourself accountable, would be to, go ahead and drop me a line and let me know how the writing process is going. You've now had several weeks to sit down and start writing. And if you've done that, then fantastic. Let me know, hey, I've gotten started with writing, and this is how it's going. Maybe you're having a tough time. Maybe you're having a little bit of a rough go getting started. Maybe you haven't gotten started at all. And so let this be the week that you say, okay, now I know how to get past that writer's block, so I'm going to get started. And just get back to me and tell me that. Say, hey, this week I made up my mind that I'm going to put all of the excuses aside, and I'm going to start writing. And I'm going to, even if it's, if you're in a stressful point in your life, then maybe you can only set aside 15 minutes a day. And that's okay. Make it 15 minutes a day, but make a decision and keep that decision. Because if you're not keeping that commitment to yourself, you're not going to get your book written. So in order to get that book written, then you need to make a commitment, and you need to stick to that commitment. It needs to become your reasons for writing the book have to be bigger than your excuses for not writing the book. So that wraps us up for the day. I try to keep these 15 to 20 minutes in length. I might have gone a little bit over today. I don't know. But I think these are really good ideas. I think these are really helpful, helpful tools that help me get through writer's block. And I want you guys to know that even those of us who've written 6 or 7 books still face writer's block. We still face the challenge of our life getting in the way. We still face the challenge of schedules and, interruptions and distractions, and that's okay. So when you're experiencing those things, you're not the only one, and don't let yourself become a victim over it. Just say, oh, this is a distraction. This is annoying. This pisses me off, or oh, I'm not going to get to my writing on schedule today. And always just keep yourself in check to make sure that you are keeping your writing a priority. If something else constantly interrupts your writing time, either you've chosen the wrong time, or you've not made it a big enough priority to say, no, I'm not going to deal with such and such. Now, there are other situations that, if you're a caregiver and you've got a family member who's not well, then, if their need for care is constantly occurring around the time that you've set down to write, then you need to just pick a different time to write. That doesn't mean that you didn't make your writing a priority. It just means that it's a much greater priority to take care of somebody who needs you. So move your writing to a point in time when that need isn't there. Maybe when that person's asleep, maybe when they're at work, maybe when they're at school, whatever that happens to be. Make the decision that that's going to be when you do your writing. And for some folks, writing every single day is just not going to be possible. You can pick one time a week or two times a week and make it a time when you've got somebody there to help, so that if your role as a caregiver is what limits your ability to write every day, then when you have somebody there to help to relieve you a little bit of that caregiving, spend 15 or 20 minutes writing. Say, hey, you know what? I'm writing this book, and I would love it if you could be here and take care of your mother, your father, your son, daughter, family member during this period of time. And if you happen to be the one who's dealing with a life-threatening illness or a terminal challenge or whatever that happens to be, then be really gentle with yourself. And when you're not feeling well enough to write, don't write, and don't beat yourself up about it, but allow yourself the possibility that while you're laying there, if ideas come, jot them down or have a tape recorder handy, because those are the kinds of things that get me through those weeks when I'm too sick, or the chemo is just giving me crazy side effects, and I just can't concentrate. But I'll keep a recorder, and I'll dictate into my phone the ideas that come, and then when I feel better in a week or so, I can go back, and that just starts. It almost like serves as kindling to reignite those creative juices. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys, and we'll pick up again where we left off next week. If you guys find that doing these sessions on a weekly basis is too close together, and you want me to do like we did last time and give you guys 2 weeks between sessions, just let me know, because I can certainly schedule it that way as well. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.